Could we be inside a giant titan and are metaphorically the white blood cells of this massive machine? Can this explain why we are looking at an inside curving world? And why does this literally sound like Bionicle? That's what I'm here to discuss with you today. As a huge Xenoblade fan, I immediately was fascinated with the new Xenoblade game that just got revealed. On the outside, it looks so different than what we are used to from Xenoblade. I missed the part of the direct where he said that this is the next Xenoblade game and was confused for quite a while. At times, it looks 100% like Xenoblade, especially with the environment shots. But the new character art style that is not Saito anymore and the school setting with all the high fantasy stuff made it really look like Fire Emblem Three Houses Redux. And I am not the only one who thought that. I got many comments and watched many reactions who said the same thing. But we all know that Takahashi and team are not gonna leave it at that. This is all a facade for the sci-fi bombshells that are gonna be a huge revelation to the cast. Xenoblade 2 also started as a super fantasy-like world, then ended with a space elevator built by ancient humanity who found a power source with godlike powers. And every other Xeno thing in general has massive sci-fi influences. So even if this really is a diversion from everything old Xenoblade related stuff, don't think that the setting will stay fantasy for long. So let's talk about some theories. I originally wanted to make an analysis for the whole trailer, but I'm very late and there has been tons of incredible analysis from my fellow Xenotubers out already. They are a blast to watch, so definitely do that. But I'm also the type of person who prefers making theories and just throw out thoughts and feelings. I love the lore of these games to death. So, before we jump in, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. I promise I won't be doing large breaks in the future. Okay, let's go back a bit. Even though this game is clearly marketed as a Xenoblade game, they hired new artists and dropped the number in the title screen. The Chronicles was never part of the Japanese title, so I don't think we can count that as evidence, but they are definitely telling us that this is disconnected from the Klaus trilogy and Xenoblade X. And by disconnected, I don't mean completely unrelated. I mean like a new beginning to a saga or a standalone game that stands completely on its own. Don't mistake this as a spin-off like many people do with Xenoblade X. All the games are connected in one way or another. The overarching lore and implications always carry through every game. And you will definitely get something more out of this if you are familiar with the rest of the games. But what I'm saying is that I think this game is either so far in the past or is in a different universe that it won't have any returning characters at all. And I know we have an interview with Takahashi stating that Malos will have an important role in the future. But if you read the quote carefully, he doesn't imply that Malos will be directly involved, but more like we will get a better picture for everything in the future. Let's start with theory number 1. I think this game takes place in the distant past. Either in our universe or somewhere else, it doesn't really matter either way, and I will get into why later. But obviously the subtitle Genesis has implications. Most other games use Bible works because they sound cool, but when it's Xenoblade, we know that Takahashi uses these terms very carefully. Christianity and the Bible are canon to this universe after all. So not only is Genesis the title of the first book of the biblical scriptures of both Judaism and Christianity, it's also Greek, translating to origin, creation, or come into being. While this might just imply a new story begins after the Klaus trilogy and it just takes place eons after everything happened there, I think we need to take the title more seriously, and Takahashi is implying we might see the beginning of the whole franchise. There are two other reasons I believe that this might be the case. The elf people might seem like completely out of nowhere additions to the Xenoblade races, but we know of people with pointy ears existing for a long time. I am talking about Samarians, the progenitors to humanity, Elma's race and Clurians. And also what Zed from Xenoblade 3 is based on. The only real Samarian we have seen is Void from X, and he has been trapped between dimensions for almost an eternity. This leads straight into other arguments for a prequel. In Void's flashback, we saw a purple conduit / Zoha that then got extracted to 6 cores for the Ares. 6 suns. Purple energy for every character. Malo / Logos answers. Genesis. It all perfectly connects. Plus, I know it has a lot of Xenogears influences that people already found. We could be moving towards episode 2 of the perfect works for the franchise. Okay, this was theory number 1 and mostly focuses on the time placement and lore implications to the rest of the series. I think we will get loose direct connections to the other games, but we will find tons of lore revelations within it. But I also really want to talk about the standalone story of this game. Remember all that giant Titan talk from the intro? First, I need to shout out @OctavioHolo on Twitter because their post made me finalize this theory. Theory number 2. I already spoiled the big surprise, but I think we are inside a giant robot. Listen, this would not even be our first time, but now I'm talking about magnitudes larger than Mechonis. So large in fact that the inside of the robot has its own gravitational field and sun. Because the 6 suns are definitely not real suns, but some sort of energy source that keeps the thing running. Presumably anima shenanigans or straight up ether. Okay, let's dial back and gather some more evidence. We are in a concave world. This is not how normal planets usually work. Every main game Xenoblade title had something to do with Titans. Xenoblade 1 had Bionis and Mechonis, Xenoblade 2 has smaller but a lot more Titans like Gormod and Moardain, and Xenoblade 3 has the corpses of those Titans all over the place. Most directly, every game has a Titan on the cover. Titans have become somewhat synonymous with Xenoblade. But also, Genesis has zero implications of any sci-fi. It looks completely high fantasy to throw you off like 2 did at the beginning. And then there is the Twitter post that tried to make sense of the new terminology we got. We have anima, which directly translates to soul, breath or life. Loikos or lefkos, which translates to white or white light, but also more importantly, it's a shortened form of leukocytes, meaning white blood cells. Takashi loves these wordplays. We had Agnes and Kevith both translating to lamp because they were raised to be slaughtered in Xenoblade 3 and many more countless examples. And then we have Vesselai, which of course comes from anima vessels or blood vessels in our example. I know that Xenosaga and Gears had something similar with Max, but this is fundamentally different and just a riff on this idea. This all of course reminded me of another GOAT series. I'm talking about Bionicle. If you are not familiar with it, I am sorry you missed out. But basically, long story short, is that these biomechanical people live inside a giant robot without knowing it, and everything they do is helping maintain the giant machine. It came from the idea of the creator Christian Faber that there could be tiny soldiers inside your body helping you maintain your organism. In Bionicle, the inside of the machine also has a blue sky and technically water. For most of the franchise's runtime, we had no idea we were inside of a robot. This perfectly translates to the Xenoblade Genesis scenario. They don't know where they are. They live inside a concave world with no escape that is powered by 6 unreachable suns, and they all worship anima. Everything that exists there was created by anima and continues to exist because of it. The Vesselai are specifically trained to work as vessels and kill impurities. Victims, as one of the characters calls them. And then there's the last line in the trailer that says, "And it's where mankind would learn that the vengeance of a fallen god has yet to be fulfilled." The fallen god could be the anima, the giant robot they are inside that lies dormant and that maybe the church keeps dormant by choice. A combination of Xenoblade 1 themes and Bionicle combined. I think this is a great idea and falls perfectly in line with what a bigger than life story Xenoblade always is. The power source can still be connected to the purple conduit and Logos in many ways, while still touching on the origins of humanity and Samarians, and also while having a unique story to boot. As we get more trailers, we will see how confident I will be with either theory, but for now, this is all I got. Making theories is just brainstorming and getting hype about possibilities for the future. Making this video made me way more excited to find out more, and I hope it made you more excited as well. Please share your thoughts and theories in the comments. I love reading them. Thank you so much for listening, and we are so back. And as always, don't forget to leave a like for Nia.